How much do we love bread? Well, enough that we've been making a sauce out of it for hundreds of years. And yeah, that's right. I said sauce. Out of bread. Conveniently named bread sauce. Originally, the name was slightly different. Actually, very different. Called galantine. Now, this is from a cookbook written under Richard II in England in 1390. A book called The Form of Curie. It's a strange recipe. We're going to try it out today. But we're also going to try out another recipe. This bread sauce recipe is from Elizabeth Raffald in 1769. Now, the book title, it's long. Let me read it to you. The English housekeeper, for the use and ease of ladies, housekeepers, looks, etc. This recipe, I'm still a little hesitant to try it. However, there are famous chefs today that still make this recipe. One of them being Gordon Ramsay. To start off for both of these recipes, we need bread, particularly stale bread. So, a couple of days ago, I got some sliced up French baguette. It's still not really as stale as I'd like it to be, so we're gonna speed this up a little bit. I'm gonna throw it in the oven at a low temperature just for a little bit and let this toast up ever so slightly. For the galantine, the recipe is as follows. Take crusts of bread and finely grind them. To this, add powder of galangal, cinnamon and ginger, and salt it. Temper it with vinegar and blend it through a strainer and serve it forth. Okay, what the hell is galangal? Don't have it. I don't have it. But I did look up what a good replacement substitute would be. Seems that ginger and pepper, a little mixture of both, is going to be the best to mimic what galangal is, this spicy, gingery type root. So we've got some powdered ginger, some peppercorns. Let's make some fake galangal real quick. Oh, of course, this is new. Oh. Oh, there you go. Now. Let's see here. Take the crusts of bread, finely grind them, and add powder of galangal, cinnamon, and ginger, and salt it. Temper it with vinegar. So really the only liquid in this is going to be vinegar. I think that's what scares me the most. I don't mind the bite of vinegar, but in a lot of these very old recipes, it can really come at you with a punch. So, all right. Let's get out this bread here. But yeah, they're like on top of each other, and the issue is that is hot. The ones on the bottom are steaming up that little bit of moisture in them and steaming the ones on top. So. Nice and stale. Let's just throw these in here for now. Okay, so take the crusts off the, only grind them. Take the crusts off. You know, I read in the other recipe, take the crusts off also. which makes me unhappy because I bought totally the wrong kind of bread for this. I would have gotten like a larger Italian loaf. Now I've got to cut the crusts off all of these little tiny pieces. So let's start meticulously doing that, I guess. I love the crust of bread. In fact, it's kind of strange. I don't know if all you guys were the same way growing up, but I don't know why I'm stacking it here. It really doesn't matter. When I was younger, I did that thing where whenever we got bread, like out at a restaurant, just went in and just gutted it out to eat the inside. But now, it's that crust. I could forgo the inside and just kind of rip off a nice crusty top layer to dip into something. So good. There's a quote by Robert Browning. Let me look that up. It is Robert Browning. And he says, "If thou tastest a crust of bread, thou tastest all the stars and all the heavens." That man really loved his bread. I have nothing else to use that for. I mean, we're going on vacation, so it doesn't matter. Take crusts of bread and finally grind them. There's a slight mix-up. Okay. All right, so crusts of bread. Luckily, I still have some bread. I'm gonna get the crusts, and that's what the one recipe calls for. The second recipe is the one that calls for crustless bread. So at least I prepped for the second recipe. Okay, let's now. That's why I didn't want to throw away the. Knew there was a reason. All right, let me cut this up real quick. The crusts of bread. Crusts of bread and some other bread that has to be ground up. So we got to grind this up. I'm all over the place tonight. Grinder. Be right back. So now we're just going to add the galangal and the ginger, the cinnamon, salt, and lastly the vinegar. Then we're going to boil it up. Sounds delicious. The quote-unquote galangal, which I put a good amount of ginger in there. I'll just do maybe another dash of ginger. 2 dashes. Whatever. Some cinnamon. The other thing is it doesn't say how much, so this is all really to taste. Let's see. A little pinch of salt. And then lastly, vinegar. I'm using white wine vinegar. Seems like something that would be used. And I think this is gonna need a lot of vinegar. That's if you could smell this right now, this is just, it's terrible. And lastly, I put this through a strainer. There is the strain here. Oh. recipes. This is... Okay. What? Okay, so for this next recipe by Elizabeth Raffald, we're gonna need a white onion. Let me cut this up. So her recipe is called to make sauce for a turkey. This is a bread sauce. Cut the crust off a penny loaf. Cut the rest in thin slices. Put it in cold water with a few peppercorns, a little salt, and onion. Boil it till the bread is quite soft, and then beat it well. Put in a 1/4 pound of butter, 2 spoonfuls of thick cream, and put it into a basin. So I guess then just boil it down and serve. That's what we're gonna go with. I'm just gonna cut this onion soft, kind of rough, chopped. It doesn't say if it needs to be cut small or anything, so. Let's see here, beat it well. It seems like the bread has to be soft, so that's what we're gonna work with here, that we're not actually blending up the onion. The bread, back to cutting bread into little slices, but this time, crustless bread. Put it in cold water with a few peppercorns. So, cold water. And it doesn't say how much, so I'm gonna just do enough to cover the bread, and then if I have to, I'll add some more water as we go. Well, I guess if I'm gonna cover the bread, I'm gonna put the bread in there. A little bit more water. Go with a few peppercorns. That's more than a few, but that's all right. Onion. Yeah, like that. Okay. And I've seen multiple, while looking this over, multiple recipes, and a lot of them, the onion's whole, the onion gets removed before the sauce is actually made. So that's kind of what I'm going with here. And then a little bit of salt. Pinch of salt. And we're gonna boil this down. If I need to add water later, I will. Okay, this is horrible. So, looking through all the bread sauce recipes, came across Gordon Ramsay's. And what's really interesting about it is it's really not that far off from a lot of these recipes back in the mid 1700s, 1800s. It's just the bread, milk, some spices, all cooked down. With his, he says the optional carrot, again, optional. Seasoning, he uses cloves, onion, and bay leaf. A little bit of peppercorn, salt, milk. It's really a simple recipe. This is boiling down nice and looks just absolutely scrumptious. Come take a look.
I don't think you can actually cook.
White and chunky. So this has been simmering now for quite some time. I'm gonna remove some of the onion. One of them kind of broke down a little bit. Okay. I'm actually gonna try and whisk it up now, just to get it a little bit broken down more. It's kind of looking like cream of wheat.
So,
we want a 1/4 pound of butter, 1/8, and we'll put this in. And lastly, we need 2 spoonfuls of cream. 1, 2. And then we'll serve it up. And I made way too much bread sauce. So let's serve these 2 up. Let me just heat this disgusting one up a little bit. I already know. I did cut this out, but I've been slaving away here. We have to eat the sauce with something. And I roasted this beautiful little game hen that I caught out in my backyard. All right, so let's try the galantine. I'm gonna take just 1 scoop of this. It's like somewhat congealed. I don't know, it looks almost like a thick applesauce. I know what's in this, and I know I'm not gonna like it. Don't judge a book by its cover, Rob. Yep, sometimes you can, though. Sometimes you definitely can. That is terrible. Well, no, that's pretty bad, but... oh, it's just that kick. I don't like it. It's not a sauce. Okay? This is like a condiment. I would not use this as a sauce. It's not terrible, but it's definitely something you want to dip into for a flavor. Not particularly a flavor I like, but it's not something that... I know some people who would like this. That's definitely not for me, though. Not right now. Is what I'm interested in. And I'm going to just go ahead and pour some right over this chicken. And let's see how this is, because this does kind of seem a little nice. This is, I definitely see how now having a sauce that Gordon Ramsay does with a few more herbs, spices in it. It's slightly bland, but it's got that subtlety of onion. I don't really get much of the peppercorn, but come on, butter and cream and bread. What else do you want? It's like a nice white gravy. Can't go wrong. I enjoy this. I understand where I'm going to make it and make it better than this. I think I'm going to start off trying Gordon Ramsay's recipe first and then kind of improvise on my own. So, also just want to say, I'm trying to come back into this. I was very busy with work, so for the last 6 or so months, I couldn't make these videos. But I really do enjoy it. I want to get back into it, so I hope you enjoy this one. And stay tuned. Hopefully, I can get one out every week. And for now, I've got to clean up this mess and get that singed vinegar smell out of my nose from that simmering vinegar, because that is just brutal.